Hi, this is Maggie. Today I'll be doing the chart of little Connor Clapton, uh, son of Eric Clapton and Lori Del Santo. Uh, little Connor just captured everyone's heart. He's born August 21st, 1986 at 6:20 a.m. in London, England. So little Connor, uh, anyone's not aware, he is the son of Eric Clapton and Lori Del Santo, a model. And he fell to his, only lived till 4 years old. He fell to his death from a 53rd story window in New York. The maid accidentally left it open, and so it was a real accidental death, but it was such a shock to the couple that, out of his grief came Pilgrim, the Grammy-winning album Pilgrim, and Eric somehow or another stayed sober throughout the whole thing. That's what got him sober, was Connor's life. He wanted to be sober for his son. So for 4 years, and then even after this tragic death, he remained sober to this day. Started a rehab at Crossroads, but his grief just poured into the album Pilgrim, and he won many Grammys for that. And, yeah, tears from heaven. But anyway, I just wanted to honor his son. Eric Clapton is my idol. I just adore him. So little Connor was born, I just gave his birth data, sorry. His son is Leo. 27 degrees. He is the son of a musician and a model, famous model. His moon is in Pisces, very sweet Pisces, in the 7th house of relationships, and it's conjunct Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces. And his ascendant is Virgo, 1 degree Virgo. 1 degree Virgo. So I'm just going to go around Connor's wheel and then try to get into some of his aspects. Originally, I thought about doing the transits on the day of his death, but I didn't want to. I mean, I think they kind of show in his short little lifespan anyway. And yeah, So Pluto he has in the 3rd house of Scorpio. It's exalted, the ruler of Scorpio. His 4th house of the home, he has Saturn and Uranus in Sagittarius. So, that's Sagittarius rules like foreign countries. So he was born to an Italian mother and an English father in a foreign country. Well, for home for him in England, and then he moved to New York. So that's a lot of traveling at his young age. So that's Uranus and Sagittarius, the changeability and traveling. Saturn in Sagittarius and Uranus in Sagittarius. So I don't know, they just look like unexpected malefics, and there's a lot of inconjuncts too. There's Uranus to Pluto, and so I'm just going to get through the wheel and just do a couple aspects. But his 4th house looks very, very difficult. So Saturn, it signifies loss, separation, and it's Saturn is squaring his 12th house, Sun. His Sun is in Leo, but it is in the 12th house. It's 27 degrees Leo. So it's in Pisces house. So moving on, his 5th house of creativity, children, that's Leo's house. He has in Capricorn, and he has Mars, the ruler of Aries and Scorpio, and Neptune. So he was the son of, a model and a great musician. So Mars, yeah, Mars is in conjunct Mercury. So in this case, it was a malefic. We got the horrid news of his tragic accident. Um, through Mars was the violence, the violent nature of his tragic accident, and Mercury was the news of it. In the 12th house, the news of it that came as a shock to everyone. Um, and Neptune in the 5th house is his beautiful parents. His beautiful, and he was a very beautiful little boy, very beautiful little boy. Um, so his 6th house is Aquarius. His 7th house is, Eric's just said what a sweet little boy he was, and he didn't really. I just watched his documentary. It's like he didn't really see his little personality come out till he was about 3 or 4, after the terrible twos, and his little personality emerged. But of course he was sweet. I mean, the moon in Pisces is so sweet, and it's magnified by Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces. And so moon conjunct Jupiter in Pisces, he was definitely the son of, you know, a beautiful musician and a beautiful model. And, you know, he just, he's got some beautiful sextiles between his 7th house to his 5th house. So, to his 5th house in Capricorn. So yeah, his light shone very, very brightly. Um, his north node is in Aries in the 9th house. So Eric was in Aries for one thing. Aries is in Aries. So that's another reason I just fell in love with Eric early on, Aries to Aries. I just always loved him. Um, so his son had his north node in Aries in the 9th house. So he was born of an Aries artist. He traveled internationally. It's in the ninth house of Sagittarius. Higher values, belief systems, travel, law. So his midheaven is Taurus. So he's Venus ruled little boy. Venus ruled little boy, and his Venus shows in his 2nd house in Libra. It's exalted in Libra. And his wounded healer Chiron is in the 10th house. So he brought a lot of wounding, actually, in his short lifespan to the world. I mean, through communication about him to the world. So most of his planets are below the horizon. So we don't see a lot in the MC sector. And with the exception of his 7th house, the beautiful moon conjunct Jupiter, taking him home, it took him home. Because they are in conjunct to Pluto. They're in a hard aspect to Pluto in Scorpio. So that took this beautiful little boy home to heaven, tears from heaven, tears into heaven. Yeah, and also Mars and Neptune in the 5th house of children, creativity. Mars is a malefic in this case. Neptune took him back to heaven because both Neptune and Jupiter are the rulers of Pisces. And so Neptune is trining Mercury because it's only 3 degrees, so it's trining Mercury in the 12th house. And Mars is in conjunct Mercury in the 12th house. So Mars took him back to heaven through a very violent accident. yeah, and so the communication about that was very, 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 very difficult for his parents, for everyone to get through. Uh, so, so I wanted to talk about his 12th house. Um, yeah, he has. Well, I already did. He has Sun, 27 degrees, right on his ascendant. So his Sun technically, it's in Leo, but it's in the 12th house. So it's right on the cusp of Virgo. He has first house Virgo. So the 6 from the 12th um, took him home to heaven. Um, yeah, so he's got Virgo first house. So yeah, this is what you call I think it's a nighttime chart when all the planets are on the bottom hemisphere, and it's a daytime chart when they're all up in the midheaven. But he didn't live long enough to really. Well, his light shone. His light shined very brightly, and so I'm just going to break down his elements, and then I wanted to talk about a couple of his aspects. So his fire is North Node in Aries. That's his dad. North Node in Aries, international fame, acclaim, just being the son of both his parents. Uh, so he was internationally known. This beautiful little boy, and raised in two different countries, England and New York. And he probably traveled a lot in his young age. But yeah, he's the son of Eric Clapton, um, internationally acclaimed musician, singer. I got to see Eric in San Jose. It was one of the best concerts I've ever have ever been to. I'm speechless. Okay, so I was going to break down his elements. North Node in Aries fire. He's got Sun and Mercury in Leo fire, but they're drowning in the 12th house of Pisces, water. It's like Leo's the star and it shines brightly, but its light was put out in Pisces, I believe. And Pisces is the ocean of endings, universal endings. So, yeah, also he has, in fire, he has Saturn and Uranus in Sagittarius in the 4th house. So, and they're trining Mercury. They're trining Mercury. So, those were malefics in his 4th house of the home. You know, yeah, 4th house of the home. And so I think I already talked about Uranus trining Mercury, the tragic news of the 4th house event, and Saturn acting as a malefic. It's trining his Leo house. It's trining his sun. But like I said, these are acting as malefics in his 4th house. Yeah, they're trining, but they took him to heaven. That's what they did. Yeah. Okay, so in air he has Venus, Venus in Libra, beautiful little boy of beautiful people, parents, and Chiron, Chiron in Gemini, the wounded healer in Gemini in the 10th house. So that's his midheaven. The North Node is his midheaven. His midheaven is 21 degrees Taurus. So, he was, his beautiful little life was in the midheaven, and the tribute Eric Clapton paid to his son through Pilgrim was just awe-inspiring, and it is to this day. So his earth is Mars and Neptune. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mars and Neptune in the fifth house of creativity, children, self-expression. He was the son of musicians and artists, and Mars in the fifth house is in conjunctus Mercury, so that just was a malefic, in this little boy's life. It brought him to heaven, to the other side. Uh, yeah, so let's see, where was I? Earth. His MC is in Earth in Taurus, and his ascendant is Earth in Virgo. So his ascendant is his body. Your ascendant is your body, your personality. So although he has a Leo sun, his ascendant is 1 degree Virgo. So it's really, really right on the cusp. And it's opposing Jupiter and Neptune in the seventh house of relationships. So Moon conjunct Jupiter is so sweet. So sweet. I mean, that's the signature of an artist, an artist child, an artist period. And it's sextiling his fifth house. It's sextiling Mars conjunct Neptune in his fifth house of Capricorn. So he was born to famous parents, both of them. Both of them were very, very famous. And yeah, so, but I can't even get through his elements. So the moon and Jupiter conjunction in the seventh house of relationships in Pisces are squaring Uranus in Sagittarius. So yeah, and they're also squaring Saturn. Well, no, they're both squaring Uranus. So again, a sudden, unexpected, tragic event in the home. It took him home to heaven. But his personality must, Moon conjunct the ruler, the ruler Jupiter of Pisces would be such an expansive, sweet person. He would have been a great musician or poet, or just being the son of who he was. But yeah, his light just shines very brightly even today. And so yeah, jumping from his elements to his aspects, but that's kind of where you go when you read a chart sometimes. So his water is Pluto. He's got Pluto and Scorpio in the third house. Pluto is it's the ruler of Scorpio. It's exalted in Scorpio, or dignified, and yeah, Pluto in Scorpio is death and transformation, and yeah, so that signified endings as well for him, and it's squaring Mercury. It's squaring Mercury, so that's the third house of communication. Gemini's house, and then it's squaring Mercury in his 12th house. So that was Mercury's the ruler of the third house, Gemini's house. So it was communication about this tragic event, his short little life. Yeah, so those are his elements. The hard square from Saturn to his sun was very, very tragic. Very, very hard aspect to the 12th house, signifying endings, separation from his father and his mother and his home. And yeah, so they're, and Pluto, I think I already talked about Pluto squaring. He's got a lot of aspects, so I can't do them all. I just wanted to point out a few. He has beautiful fire trines, being the son of a fire sign, Aries, Eric. The sun is in conjunct Venus. Yeah, so I think I'm going to end this because, yeah, I think I'm going to just end this. So anyway, I hope you like this. If you do, please like, subscribe, and share. And God bless Connor Clapton. Thank you.